Today is Friday, the 19th of June 2026, and it's a pleasant morning here at Broadcasting House. Hello and welcome to your favorite breakfast show. Good morning, say Leone. As always, this program starts today with analysis and views on issues of national concern. Well, in the program this morning, my name is Francis Panat, and my co-presenter, Emmanuel Samoa, was awarded as the best journalists for the report on art and culture.
Culture and tourism.
Art, culture and tourism by the Sierra Leone Association of Journalists / Congratulations.
And the Independent Media Commission.
Congratulations, Emmanuel.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so this is Good Morning, Sierra Leone, and my co-presenter is Emmanuel Samoa, the award-winning journalist. He was awarded by SLAJ and IMC.
Yes, well, thank you very much, Frances. And this is how we start this program with the quote. Our quote of the day is from American critic Roger Ebert, and it says, "Your intellect may be confused, but your emotions will never lie to you."
Is that so, Emmanuel?
That's so.
Okay, so we now go for a short break. And Emmanuel, so what do we have in the menu this morning?
Well, in the menu coming up, one of the 2028 Sierra Leone People's Party flag bearer aspirant, Dr. Jonathan Bonaparte Tengbe, urges engineering and technical students at the Fabe College to use the skills they acquire to contribute meaningfully to national development.
Sierra Leone joins the world to observe World Sickle Cell Day on the theme Closing the Survival Gap, Equity in Sickle Cell Disease.
UBA, Leo and Next Gen Ambassador Benjamin M. George, commonly known as
AKA Dizzy League. Yes.
Speak on youth financial inclusion, digital banking awareness and responsible money management. Well, all this and more, we invite you to participate in the next 1 hour of this program, and you can participate through the number displayed on your screen or join us on Facebook at SLBC Live. The program you're watching is Good Morning Sierra Leone Live on the SLBC Live. Good Morning Sierra Leone Live on the SLBC. We start the conversation proper to our first headline story. One of the 2028 Sierra Leone People's Party flag bearer aspirant, Dr. Jonathan Bonaparte Tengbe, has urged engineering and technical students at the Fabe College to use the skills they acquire to contribute meaningfully to national development. Speaking during a public lecture on the theme Sustainable Infrastructural Development and Mineral Resource Extraction, Opportunities and Constraints, Dr. Tengbe highlighted Sierra Leone's vast mineral wealth and stressed the urgent need for stricter economic policies to address illegal and unregulated mining activities across the country. Well, in the studio, we have Dr. Bonaparte Tengbe as a guest. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning.
Good morning and good morning to our listeners.
Dr. Tengbe, one might be tempted to ask, why are you calling on Fabe College students as at this time to use their skill to develop Sierra Leone? Why not before now?
Well, I've been in that university before. I did my civil engineering degree there, so I know the constraints of that university. And also, as currently the regional leader for or representative for this Institution of Civil Engineers in the UK, it is an opportunity for me to be able to impart my knowledge, which I have acquired over the years, to students in preparation for the challenges of human capital development and also for infrastructure development in Sierra Leone. You know, we have huge, as you rightly said, huge, vast resources of minerals in Sierra Leone, and most of the time we have not really benefited much from it, obviously a bit from it. But the students are being trained as engineers to take on the mantle of leadership in terms of engineering and infrastructure planning and development. So it was really proper and timely for me to let them know that the implication and the relationship between their engineering they are doing and other aspects of society in terms of economic aspect.
So Dr. Taylor, I want to come in. You are coming in as a politician, you vying for the flag bearer position of the Sierra Leone People's Party. And you are an engineer trained at Frabe College.
Yes.
And you are preaching to the students and saying they should use their skills to develop Sierra Leone. As someone who is coming to vying for the highest seat of this land, you know, have you been a doer of what you preach to the students?
Of course, I have served this country at different levels over the years. I was in the UK as an engineer at the highest level, at senior level, and I contributed immensely to the development, the infrastructure development of this country through working for the European Union as a consultant. The Masiaka-Togo Highway, which is functional today, I came in as advisor and contract advisor to the European Union and the Sierra Leone Roads Authority. The Conakry Highway, which you see today, I contributed to that as well. And before I even went to the UK, I was here as a chief planning engineer of the Sierra Leone Roads Authority. If you look at the entire 72,000 kilometers of proposed highway network in Sierra Leone, I put together a document when I came from Germany after my PhD and developed a master plan for the Roads Authority. So all these projects that you see today are in that master plan. So I've contributed immensely to that, and more importantly, more recently I served as a Minister of Water Resources. I contributed to policy development for the water sector. I set up agencies, particularly missing agencies within the ministry, like the Water Resources Management Agency, to look after the problems that are caused by pollution and water sources in Sierra Leone. So I've done quite a lot in terms of the development of Sierra Leone.
Okay, and Doc, in recent times, the Institute of Engineering in Sierra Leone has come under the spotlight for the fact that some of our structures that we have now, they have issues of credibility, because you just wake up one morning and they will say, okay, we have a collapsed building at so and so and so area, and people have been questioning the credibility and the competence of our engineers in Sierra Leone. Is this why you are calling on students coming from the University of Sierra Leone, to especially in Frabe College, to see how they can use their expertise to develop Sierra Leone?
Well, as a final analysis, yes, that would be one of them. But the institution of civil engineers is in Sierra Leone is different from the engineering institution I'm heading in Sierra Leone. I'm representing the institution of civil engineers in the United Kingdom. It's a 97,000 membership institution.
So I'm just talking about engineering.
The engineering in Sierra Leone, yes, there are really difficulties, and I'm aware of that. You know, we have the professional engineering standard that we have set up. It's very recently that they have set it, headed by Mr. Barnabas himself, who I trust. He's a very competent engineer who I've taught in at later levels in Frabe College as a professor. So he is working on that, and we are all really, really sorry that such incidences are occurring, especially when we call ourselves engineers. And don't forget that we in Sierra Leone, we have the standards. The standards are there, but what is missing is the regulating those standards. Who are enforcing those standards? Government. We should work with government directly. So we are now encouraging sort of dialogue between us and government, who are the regulators and who should be really enforcing who should really be in charge of those particular construction works. For example, I can tell you about the UK, where I'm also a member of the Institution of Civil Engineers. There, if you are not a chartered engineer, you are not allowed to sign drawings. The final drawings are signed by a chartered engineer who actually takes responsibility of those infrastructure that are being built. That is why there is, before you get to a chartered status, you've got to go to rigorous both academic and professional exercise and training within the organizations you are working. But I think there is a missing link in that here in Sierra Leone. We are encouraging. That's why I went to set up a UK and civil engineering chapter institution in the UK in Frabi College, whereby those students can start being exposed to other standards, particularly the UK standards, particularly getting access to virtual libraries where they can actually sit down and read those documents and understand. So when they come out of the university, they are not only going to depend on that theory that we are doing in Frabi College, but also there is a practical aspect of it. I will encourage them to visit sites, operational sites, where they can actually see construction works.
Okay, Doc, you also spoke about stricter economic policies to address illegal and unregulated mining activities in Sierra Leone. What do you mean?
Well, that response came when I was doing my PhD, because that was one of my themes during my PhD, and the regulations are not that strict because Sierra Leone is a vast country and mining is going on all over the country. And one of the areas that I really honed in on was the rehabilitation that is being done that is not being done or being done by the miners, the mining companies. There need to be more strict regulations to enforce regulation. I'm not here to stop mining. Don't misunderstand, because this is the mainstay of our economy. However, government over the years have set up the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, and they should be empowered and funded to be able to actually regulate those problems within the mining sector. But the important policy that really, for me, that came out, the most important policy is the Mineral Wealth Fund, which we can abstract from those mining proceeds. Those mining proceeds can give us wealth that we can use as collaterals to further develop our infrastructure in Sierra Leone.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Tembe. So now that you said you set up a team, what did you say you set up a UK chapter at Frabi College?
Yes. I launched it, and the students are in the process of setting themselves up. I've given them the necessary information to form a chapter.
Okay.
And that chapter will have access to myself, obviously, at any time for mentoring and advice, and I will make sure that they also have access to virtual libraries and other facilities.
So Dr. Tembe, as an alumnus of FBC and someone who has taught the world, who is recognized with vast engineering knowledge, whenever people go to the Frabi College, looking at the road leading to Frabi College, some people say, are these guys really doing engineering here? Do they really have engineers? So, as an engineer with that vast experience and vast knowledge, have you ever thought about this particular thing? Because they say charity begins at home.
Yes.
So if the roads leading to Frabi College or the roads within Frabi College, they are not properly arranged, one can say that is the reason why we have bad roads in the country.
No, I don't think the engineers are responsible for those roads, because obviously if I have a responsibility as a senior citizen and also a consultant and also past engineer in the planning department, we have various options. The first option on the hillside is very difficult to widen that road, because there's a constraint by the mountain to go up the hill. It's so difficult that probably we will find a solution one day to do it. But maintenance culture is something that I will always talk about. We need to step up on our maintenance culture. But during the years, there's an alternative road running from the down from I think Model, going through to Leicester. There's an alternative road that was surveyed and is in the plan of the Sierra Leone Roads Authority. But I think a Chinese company started doing it and they stopped. That would be one of the best roads that will solve the problem of Afrabe College. Because it runs right from Leicester through tree planting down to Model. And there's a possibility to widen it to international standard. It's not on a hillside like the one we wiggle around to go to. So there is a plan for it. It's only, I think, the problem is the funding. Okay. As I said earlier.
All right, thank you very much. He is Dr. Jonathan Tengbe, and he is an engineer, and also he is an aspirant for the flag bearership of the Sierra Leone People's Party.
We wish him well.
We wish you all the best. We'll have to talk to you about that in another program. But for now, we go to another issue. Every year on June 19, the Global Sickle Cell Community unites to celebrate World Sickle Cell Day. For the sickle cell community, this day holds much significance. Also known as World Sickle Cell Awareness Day, this day is observed internationally to increase much needed education and awareness of a disease that affects millions of people around the globe. In 2006, the World Health Organization recognized sickle cell disease as a global health problem. Just 1 year earlier, the African Union and the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, had also recognized the disease as a global health problem, thanks to the advocacy of the Sickle Cell Disease International Organization, the support of the Republic of Congo and the Republic of Senegal, and the commitment in the scientific world. Their efforts brought to light how sickle cell disease was and is a heritable blood disorder with devastating effects. The global theme for 2026 is Closing the Survival Gap, Equity in Sickle Cell Disease. Where to mark this day in Sierra Leone, the Hemato-Oncology Unit, Department of Pediatrics, University of Sierra Leone Teaching Hospital, and partners, we observe the day with the youth campaign for primary prevention, scientific lecture, provisions of relevant medications, among other activities. Well, in the studios this morning, we have Dr. Michael Apoki. He's a specialist pediatrician, Unit Ola-During Children's Hospital. And also we have Elizabeth Yavana, and a sickle cell patient, and we also have Mrs. Emilia Kaba, and she is the founder of the Sickle Cell Society in Sierra Leone. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'll start with Doctor. Good morning, Doctor. Welcome to the SLBC.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
So let's talk about Sickle Cell Day and how is it going to be observed in Sierra Leone. First, even though many people know what it is, but let's know what sickle cell is and what are the signs and symptoms of it.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us this morning. It's a pleasure to be here. Sickle cell today means a great deal to us at Ola-During Children's Hospital because especially the Hemato-Oncology Unit, we are the ones that oversee blood disorders but also cancers in children. So we are under the University of Sierra Leone Teaching Hospital complex, and we are happy to honor this day and to do a lot of what you said. So moving down to what sickle cell is. Sickle cell anemia is a disease, like several diseases, but this time around is a genetic disorder which makes it inheritable. So what it means is that a child is born with the disease right from the womb. So what the disease actually entails is that this child, because we all have different blood cells flowing through our veins, there's a red blood cell, there's a white blood cell, and there are platelets. So the red blood cells are the cells carrying oxygen to keep us alive, plainly put. Now, the hemoglobin in the red blood cell is the protein that carries that oxygen to supply the different tissues in the body. For those that have sickle cell anemia, this hemoglobin is not normal, it is abnormal. So we call it hemoglobin SS. So the unfortunate thing is that the children get it from both parents. So the father gives an S and the mother gives an S. So the child has what we call the homozygous form of hemoglobin SS. So that's the child that has sickle cell anemia. It's nothing of his own doing. He's just born like that from both parents.
Okay, so if we can talk about the current status of sickle cell in Sierra Leone, especially if we are talking about percentage, what will you say? What's the current status of sickle cell in Sierra Leone?
Thank you very much. So currently, it's estimated that there are at least 100,000 people in Sierra Leone having this disease, sickle cell anemia. And from the proportion of youth, because I'm a child doctor, I'm a pediatrician, with the proportion of youth versus adults, we can safely estimate that the children among them is at least 40,000 people. So that puts it to about 0.5% of our entire population. And if you put all together, at least 1 to 2% of the entire population, which is quite a significant number.
Okay, doctor, we have to come back to you, but let's go to Madam Amelia, who have been in this area of sickle cell for a very long time. Now, Madam Kaba, let's talk about how far has Sierra Leone come in the fight against sickle cell, on how, or the issue of stigmatization, because this has been one of the concerns for people living with sickle cell in Sierra Leone.
Well, Sierra Leone has tried, because I am working with the Sierra Leone Sickle Cell Society, which was established about 30 years ago, but because of the war there was a break, and then 20 years later, that was 2006, they came back and it was relaunched. And since then we've been working in communities, but because of resources, we are mainly focused in Freetown, but we have patients coming from the provinces. There's stigmatization for sickle cell is really great, but we thank God that over the years, it is the way I see it, it's improving. Because there was a time when people who are having children with sickle cell, especially the women, because they are the ones that have been stigmatized. They always say the woman is a witch, she is eating the children, and or she has the devil that she gives the children to. The fault is always with the woman. Again, if a child also has sickle cell, they say it's a child. This child is a witch, and she is the one that is causing the problems for herself. So there has been a lot of times, even the children who are going to school, the other students, they laugh at them. Sometimes the way they are not growing well, and sometimes when you look at them, the abdomen looks distended all the time because of the spleen that is enlarged, and the long arms that are on their sides. They always look at them and they laugh at them in schools. So much so that the parents, when they are taking the children to school, they do not explain this thing to the teachers, because they do not even want people to know that they have a child with sickle cell disease. So because of that, even the treatment has been, the access to treatment has been difficult, because people are not using the hospitals, they are not coming out to say this child has got sickle cell disease. Immediately the community starts saying all sorts of things about them, they withdraw. And so care has not been very good for them. They have not been having access to care. So that's stigmatization. And then more, apart from the stigma from the communities, the parents, the husbands, mainly the male people. These days we are now seeing the male bringing the children into the clinics. But there was a time whenever a child is diagnosed with sickle cell, you see the husband will come and say, and I know I pull out. He said, you look at me, I'm looking healthy, but for somebody to be born with sickle cell disease, the father and the mother must both have got sickle cell traits. And in having sickle cell traits, when they test your blood, they do the sickling is positive, they do the electrophoresis, it will show that you have HbAs. So if you get married to another person, or you have a child with another person with HbAs, then there is a 25% chance that you are going to have a child with sickle cell.
All right, Madam Kaba, let's come back to you, doctor. So even when it is not the fault of the woman or maybe the husband to transfer sickle cell to the child. Sometimes you see, just like Madam Kaba was saying, you see a situation where the woman is left alone to carry the burden. You are in the hospital and you do work with parents. How have you seen this so far in Sierra Leone?
Yes, the burden is very significant. Like you said, it's a very common encounter. We see them in our clinics every Friday at the hospital. So there are several prongs. There's a way to attend to this thing from both sides. Like our dear Ma just said, the understanding is what needs to be corrected, first of all. You know, you remind me of a patient I just saw last week. The child has sickle cell anemia, but also a heart condition. And it's just the mother who is taking care of the child. The father has almost abandoned care to her. And taking care of a child with sickle cell anemia, it takes a whole lot. There's a lot of financial burden. There's a lot of emotional burden. Some of them get admitted in the hospital as much as 5 times in 1 year. And each time they are on admission for pain crisis or requiring blood transfusion or with an infection or with all manner of crisis. Some of the children actually have stroke where they can't move their body, they can't speak because of brain infarcts. So when they get admitted, they spend weeks, sometimes 2 weeks, 3 weeks in the hospital. So imagine just a woman with the child for those amount of times in the year. So the burden is significant, which is why for this year, you know, what we believe in Sierra Leone that we need is for everybody to be adequately informed that this thing can actually be prevented right before you even decide to have a child.
So,
right?
So, Doc, I'll come to you. We'll ask you how can someone prevent sickle cell.
Sure.
But let me go back to Elizabeth. Elizabeth, as someone living with sickle cell, how has it been for you?
It has been difficult, very difficult. Just like what Doc was saying. Sometimes you admit almost like 5 times, more than that in fact. And for me growing up, I became, they would say, a customer at the hospital in Bo. Because it's a hospital which they were very good, so most times it's filled. So at one point in time, they reserved a room for me, a bed. They told my mother, you see that bed is for you people because you guys will just come anytime, any day. So that is for you. So whenever I have crisis, in fact, I was living in and out of hospital until I got properly diagnosed, and my mom read about it, and we were able to manage the crisis frequency, but it's severe. There are times I don't get crisis regularly, but when I get them, it's hard. And even when it comes to stigmatization, I remember, because especially when it's in the rainy season, I'll have frequent cramps at my joint area, pain, my back. So I apply hot rubs, those pain rubs, and you know they have this milk.
Strong saying.
Yeah, so with Donny, people always say shea butter. So I used to mix them up, take them to school, and then I would apply them in the morning because my mom will make sure I apply them. They apply it at my joint area, I go to school. So when I get to class, everybody's, what kind of smell is that? People will be doing like that. And people will say, some of my friends will say, you don't smell nice. And there was a girl who even rejected sitting close to me because he said, I don't smell nice. And it was hard. There are times, because of the way I was looking, I didn't look well at all. When you see me, you will know that I was sick. And my friends, not even friends, people would just, in school, they would just provoke me. And even, I don't know who told them I was sick. And then somebody said, they said Elizabeth has HIV. Yes, even at that. So it has been hard. It has been hard. Even access to proper medical care. Sometimes wrong diagnosis, I've suffered from that. I've suffered from overdose, wrong treatment. I was given a medicine and then that medicine almost killed me.
Okay, so Elizabeth, let's talk about the support of your parents, because you've spoken a lot about your mom. What has been the intervention of your dad and other family members?
People has been trying, especially for me. I've been blessed with the support of people, other people, not just family members. There are even close friends, sometimes even nurses. In all of that, we have few nurses who will just go extra, give extra support, extra care. And I come from a very small family, so it's not just so much, but they are caring.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. She is Elizabeth Yavana, and she is a sickle cell patient. And we still have Doctor in the studio now. Doctor, you have a lot of activities lined up to mark today's event.
Yes.
Can you please take us through some of these activities?
Thank you very much. So first of all, it's what we are doing now. So our main pivot is a public health campaign to get everybody to begin to talk about it. It's been a while and we've been maybe a little quiet, more quiet than we should. And what message that we want to get across is we can prevent this at the basic level. Because as a country in Sierra Leone, yes, we have a lot of challenges, infrastructure. So good to hear from her, a sickle cell sufferer, talking about being misdiagnosed. So there are lots of things that we need to put in place with diagnosis and treatment. Because sickle cell can actually be cured. There are curative options, but those are very expensive. So they are unavailable here in Sierra Leone, which is why we just asked ourselves, what are the things that people can easily do? And we discovered this prevention. So when you are about to have a child with someone, just know your genotype. So everybody has to know their genotype. If it's AS, and you are dating somebody who is also AS, then you have to think about it. Do I really want to go ahead? Am I ready to handle a child who will be almost living in the hospital? From what
So Doc, let's get this clear, because we are here to educate the public.
For sure.
So you in other words, you're saying that if I am AS and a partner, Emmanuel, is AS, we should not go ahead with a relationship, especially the one that will lead to giving birth to children. Is that what you say?
Not categorically. What I'm saying is being formed. So if you are going to have a child with a partner who is also AS, with each pregnancy, there is a 1 in 4 chance that you're going to have a child who comes out with sickle cell
So
anemia.
technically you're saying if someone is in such relationship, they should discontinue that relationship.
You think?
No,
you are not saying you should. Just
I will not break people's relationships.
Yes.
We don't intend to go around making it a law that people shouldn't get married to who they love to marry. What we are saying is that you have to think about it. Am I willing to enter into this relationship where there is a risk? There are several other diseases that have a shout. For instance, the popular HIV infection, for instance, and so many of those things that we often test and say, oh, let me make sure that this person is not positive. Also think like that when you are thinking about sickle cell disease.
So the advice is people should know
know your genotype,
even with their partners.
And more importantly too, even if you eventually have a child who has sickle cell anemia, there is a great chance when we discover it early. Like our dear sister here was diagnosed around 10 years, 11 years. That's already quite late. We would like to do that by 1 year or even earlier than that. So when we are able to discover it early, we are able to moderate the disease so that you won't have all the complications, you will reduce the risk of getting transfusions and all the bone pain crisis. All of those things can be markedly reduced when we start treating.
Okay, so Madam Kaba, do you have activities lined up for today's event?
For today's event, we have been planning ourselves actually for this creating awareness, visiting the SNBC or AYV, and then trying to pass on the message to people that they should know their genotype, they should know their sickle cell status. But our focus for this World Sickle Cell Celebration actually is on ensuring that we have access to a new drug that is doing wonders in the life of sickle cell patients, and that is the hydroxyurea. This medicine is being used by even our sister countries now, Nigeria, Ghana, and other countries are using it, and it's so effective. When they start using it, it helps them to, it prolongs the intervals between the crises, it prevents the blood transfusion, and also the hospitalization is also stretched. So our focus actually is on sensitizing our patients. For us, again, we are trying to raise funds to help our patients, to support them so that they can have access to this drug. That is really our patient. When we are talking about the gap that we are talking about for closing the gap, and also equity in access to care. This is one of the things that we actually think Leone should be focusing on. If other countries are using this drug and they are saying it is so good, we had a church service in our church to raise funds just for our sickle cell patients in a church class on the 7th. And we had 2 people who came out and they said they have been using this drug. The lady came from England. She said for 8 years now, she has not had a crisis, which is very good message for our people here. Like doctor said, some people, like my sister said, Elizabeth is our patient. Sometimes they are admitted every other month, and then sometimes they have blood transfusion once or twice in a year. If you have a drug which is now being said or confirmed that it is so good, we also want to have a trial with that drug, and that is our main target for this celebration that we are having, to raise funds to support our patients to get access to this medicine. So
thank you very much, Madam Gaba. Elizabeth, shortly, what advice would you want to give to those sickle cell patients who are outside there but they are shy to come out or to coexist or live in certain communities because of stigmatization or other things?
Okay, my advice I would love to give everybody or anyone with sickle cell disease is that sickle cell is not a death sentence like you heard before from doctor or anybody. It's not a death sentence, and you can live a good life with sickle cell disease. Just know how to take care of yourself to prevent crises. Read about it. We have so many materials online. Visit the hospitals, and we thank God. We have advocacy groups, foundation, we have Sickle Smart, we have the Cells Foundation, we have other groups I do not mention here, Sierra Leone Sickle Cell Society and others. Join those platforms, join those groups. They will help you. You can go to the internet, look for care, and when you visit the hospital, take heed to advice. I know sometimes it's difficult. I know sometimes it's hard, especially thinking medicine almost every day. There are sometimes, even me, I get tired. My mom will say, okay, because now you are not having crisis, you stop taking your routine. And I said, it makes my sweat smelly and all of that. But I know it's not easy, but let's try to take care of ourselves.
Okay, so thank you very much, Dr. Michael, Madam Emilia, and Elizabeth. And we wish you well, and we hope that people out there and even government listen to you guys to purchase that medicine that will help those that are in crisis. Thank you very much. And we go over to our health tips. Our health tips today takes a look at the sickle cell disease, which is a group of inherited blood disorders where red blood cells become rigid, sticky, and C-shaped instead of flexible and donut-shaped. Let's watch this video and learn.
Sickle cell anemia is an inherited blood disease that affects your red blood cells. It's one of the most common and usually most severe forms of a group of red blood cell disorders, called sickle cell disease. In order to survive, your body needs red blood cells to supply oxygen to its tissues. Red blood cells are made inside the center of your bones, called bone marrow. There, immature cells, called blood stem cells, can divide to make all types of blood cells, including red blood cells. Normal red blood cells are disc-shaped. Each of them contains protein molecules called hemoglobin that carry oxygen. Round, flexible red blood cells flow easily through your bloodstream and pick up oxygen in your lungs. In tiny air sacs in the lungs, called alveoli, oxygen moves into the blood and attaches to the hemoglobin in red blood cells. Then, the red blood cells deliver oxygen to cells throughout the body. In sickle cell anemia, there is a problem with your hemoglobin that makes your red blood cells sickle-shaped instead of round. This is caused by a defective gene that is passed from both parents to children through genetic material in your cells called DNA. DNA is made up of sections called genes. Two of the genes, called alpha-globin and beta-globin, contain the blueprints for making the hemoglobin proteins. In sickle cell anemia, the beta-globin gene has changed or mutated. This mutation leads to the formation of an abnormal hemoglobin protein called hemoglobin S. Hemoglobin S forms into rigid strands inside your red blood cells, which causes the red blood cell to be sickle-shaped. Sickle cells can block blood flow and can cause pain and tissue damage. And while normal red blood cells last 90 to 120 days, sickle cells only last 10 to 20 days. Your body may not be able to keep up with how fast the cells are destroyed.
I hope you've learned a lot from that video that talks about sickle cell disease. Well, Francis, viewers want to tell viewers that we have something more lighter and entertaining. Well, let me say...
And we are not only talking to we are not just talking to an ordinary artist in Sierra Leone, but we are talking to, I don't know if I could say the young the Gen Zs.
Yeah, I would say the king of Gen Z.
The king of Gen Zs.
And when I want to give an acapella.
Go ahead, Emmanuel, go ahead.
Gen Z outside,
no, go ahead, Emmanuel. I would love to hear.
I'll come back close, not get wrong side.
Yes.
Anytime you see how they walk, that's only scream about not get side.
Alright.
Well, yes, in the studio this morning we have the UBA Leo and Next Gen Ambassador Benjamin N. George, aka Daisy League, to promote youth financial inclusion, digital banking awareness, and responsible money management among students and young professionals across Sierra Leone. Is with us.
And so, Emmanuel, this means that you should not only be dancing to his music, but you should also be thinking about finances, how to save your finances, and how to take care of yourself.
We talk to him, let him expose,
yes.
Because you have so many youngsters. The moment they start, that is the time their career ends. But Rizalik, he has been around for some time now. It keeps going up. So, good morning, Benji.
Good morning.
This is what you used to call him.
Call him like his name.
So, now you are here on financial inclusion and all of the sorts. Inter Ali and me and my colleague, we are saying it. You've been around for some time, and your light is not going out. It keeps going up. For some other youngsters, the moment they start, that's the time the light go down. How have you been able to do it when it talks about financial inclusion or financial discipline?
In our simple, first of all, Salon I had place for manage money because once you make low, by the time that you split how much you will save and how much you will invest, how much you will spend by yourself and the people around you. So over the years, I don't exercise on restraint. Let's just put it that way there. And this was just the easiest thing. I know we can't talk about. I'm like I said, I just something I just do like this. You know, like when I say restraint, certain things that me not get for suffer for make able for investing in my career. I remember the very first show we make in 2016. Every penny of that show they go by studio equipment. Same thing in 2018. In fact, the equipment that they use today, as I talk to them, so I buy them in 2018 after my concert in Paradise City. And we not only buy any kind of thing, we spend all the money for buy standard. We're even in 2026, now industry standard. So with the help of the people around me, the management and the team, you know, we value investment. We value investment. I've been an independent artist ever since I can't sign music.
Okay.
Never signed to a label or anything like that. And that is not possible if I know, you know, get the arm or the muscle for invest and the discipline for able for put money aside for handle stuff and really keep the career going.
So there's a leak you dey talk say when you do your show, instead of you eating the money, you exercise the strength and you invest.
Yeah.
I want you to for you put it into simple term, because plenty young people would like you right now when they make money but they don't know how to invest. So I want to probably talk small about it, so that young man out there will know these are some of the magic we make this league. The food and the suit electric.
Yeah, it's not even magic, to be honest. In entertainment, a lot of young artists that they can't sign with the aim of being signed to a label. Like, if I make one hit song, sometimes this league go see me, or LJ go see me, or Emerson go see me, Emerson sign me, right? And myself coming to music, briefly thinking about that and hoping for that, because also you see, parents are not going to support you from the very start. They only go school, they only go to school. So you kind of get approval to them before they accept you. And oftentimes, if you get like big one or somebody with more financially stable or we get money, able for investing you, that is the best scenario. But that is not always be the case. Not always they work out that way. In fact, I don't see so many talents and die because they're not able for look at what they're able for do for themselves rather than they wait for somebody else who can invest in them. So I feel like from that early point in my career, now I realize I've been get for like manage me time, because it's not only about money. Investment is not just the money you put by yourself, and the time and attention you pay to use it for to your craft. Like I stopped school from 7 for doing music, and I don't spend more time doing research, doing studies on like different wing and arms of the industry where they aid this career, where they aid my career, you know, way more than I only spend at school all my years where I go secondary school and primary school, you know. So not like because I left school for go do music, I just relaxing, I just rap, I just sing, I just record. Like you get for invest time, but then again when the money starts for come, you therefore invest the money back into them. So it's not always the money. Some of the small details in like your time, your attention, and all that stuff that they matter, and that's so you begin build the discipline.
Okay, so you don't be ambassador for UBA Leo and next generation banking solution. We want to let you tell me more about this.
Okay, so next gen, next gen, I don't even want to call them a product or a service. Now, an opportunity for young people for being financially included. Oftentimes, young man, 18, 19, feels them be too young for being financially responsible. All the money we can have, we eat, but you always don't be that way. Right? I remember when we were small, we all live in a primary school. Some beginning they go to school and they sell butterscotch. Then keep that business, they like today, some of them they're in a better place and understand money better because they're able to invest, and you know go on to bigger businesses. People in the way left primary school and not ever go college or secondary school, but then they're in a way better place than some of the other friends and we go college and all that. Now because them start early. So next gen account, now an account for students from 18 to 25, where you open for save. Then design them especially for the youth, for include them into the financial, you know, market. Basically, for give them the first chance at managing their own money and saving for investment and for their future. The minimum balance for inside for opening this account now 250,000. basic information now you need for opening the accounts, like the same ID, you go to a bank. Even if you don't go to a bank, actually, you can even open the account with Leo. But yeah, basically, them UBA bring that service they for make young people start to be more disciplined with their finances, and also start to think about their future and no say all money where they kind of earn for it.
So as an entertainer, what do you think is the role of digital banking for support education, creativity, and entrepreneurship?
We're then at the digital age fully, and even though salon they try small, fully did it with like the internet and electricity. There's so much we can able to do with what we get, and gone are the days where you need for work go all the way in a tongue for go get you money. For the past 3 or 4 years, most of the transaction them are either using the UBA app, using Leo, or using Orange Money. I hardly go to a bank. Even sometimes working for make transfer, I rather send an email or using the bank app for make transfer. So things faster and quicker nowadays. And also services then the way you go able for take advantage of them way you not get access for going to bank. So I'll basically say the world they move fast, and if you want for catch up, you get for go digital. Like it depend on you the speed at which you walk and everything actually now depend on how digital you approach be. So that's something we all need.
All right, so easily, I know we get young people where they watch. We not only they watch the TV, and they also they follow it online. And as I've been saying, the Gen Z's favorites, because even the small picking house where you don't begin say if you talk about Ashobi. One of your songs, they sabi, they get words. I can say they get the bars there where they must say about them. So and we don't see how you don't go from step to step, from different stages onto the level where you are today. You not only don't do Amna Salon, we don't follow you even in the international scene. Now, we talk about UK. Your musical career, because if we host you and we not talk about you career, we then go wait for we not do Gen Z then for say we not greet we make this league say something about a musical career. Let's talk about how far you don't come and how you don't really forget yourself to this level where you are.
Okay. A question? I don't know.
A question.
Really big. No, it's a lot. It's a lot of investment. I mean, I'd go back to so you go, whoa. It's a lot of investment. And not to just me no more making an investment there. I want to say big shout out to everybody who ever be part of my team and my current management and everybody who walk around me. It's investment and a lot of restraint and discipline. We're not the best or the most talented musicians then, but we want for them, and I feel like we want for them for the right reason. I mean, I talked to somebody earlier this week. We watch football and they asked me like, but they suggest actually, like if you want to break into the Nigeria scene or this scene, why you not go try for like they put some pidgin by you rap, just for fully Nigerians, like I say, one of them, so they will accept you and stuff like that. Because as you say, other artists and they don't do them and they don't succeed in them. I get their advice and they
I don't think so.
I know, but it will surprise you. It will surprise you the amount of people that will feel like they they approach that the next big thing that they for like an artist like me, So being able to do the music just because you like them, but also apply like some amount of like discipline and seriousness to I feel like now one of the blessings them we are thank you for, because the distractions them plenty. They're plenty, and sometimes they come in disguise of favor, they come in disguise of good advice, they come in disguise of I just want to help you, Let me pivot this way, let me try this other approach. and you can't blame people for giving such advice. So that is just one small challenge where anybody can face and risk losing your way. So, and also me nobody face them. Everybody around me, they get their advice and they, you know, tell you man, do this, you know, tell you man, do that, you know, tell you man, make so, and I get a suggestion in there. So I don't realize it's not even about making the music anymore. The parts of the work when I for record and perform not even constitute to like 30% anymore. It's about managing the people around you.
Okay, so
managing finances and all.
Quickly, let's talk about some of your albums. Then we get Lemonade, we get It's Sweet, Sabi Road. Let's talk about Sabi Road. We want to give me some lines in Sabi Road quickly as time not in our favor.
Yeah.
And Emmanuel favorites. That one then from Musa and Ashomi.
No, na Sabi Road.
Sabi Road, na Sabi Road. Okay, na Sabi Road. Let's talk about Sabi Road.
Yeah. Which one my favorite letter? That's right.
No, well, we don't. The one, the popular one. The one where all man.
Okay, cool. Listen, I guess you just bring grace. I know they are get influence. Central boy, not the thief style. We get idea past Pinterest. Shake tail, beat batter. I give them free ball or give them not patter. I can show them how to do what me no matter. But I'm not going able to baptize my water. Would I make the crowd move now in tongue like this? Show baby then they broke down like this. I create fusion with the color if it sound like this. I change the game in name like Umar Sharif. All white. Dope shit. Boss na the water like a boat. Shape and the teeth make it mess up the dance. Make them hook like a chain while I'm holding the rope. I'm making top fans out of skeptics. They're not going able to lock here, Sammy hectic. I flip the switch and light up the whole place. Woogie 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 is electric.
Alright. Alright. So you started dance. So you don't see.
Yeah, so this leak in just 1 minute. You will share with your experience as the next gen ambassador, where they inspire the next generation.
Yeah, for me, I honor being in that position. I have to tell the UBA thank you for giving me the opportunity for able to talk to the youth directly. And yeah, I love being in this position where the youth not just the benefit from me entertainment, but me experience as well. And you know, sometimes like you listen to music, you don't know what's in make the music. So being able to sit down and share my story with the youth and you know help them come into society and be financially included, that's something we appreciate.
Finally, now you can write your music. Waiting at the inspiration because some of the words them I can just you go the one that say I something can say how it is they think for them words. So now you can write them?
Yeah.
Alright. Thank you very much. Well, this not easily. I don't know, but please, I want to give you some few lines from Ashobi.
Okay. I can feel like I did not host any side where I did not the planet. The good the battle, all I got in provision for harness. By how you saw and how it fit you, they are surely can find it. I'm not saying not to me pick up. So I the way Alexander the heart to just the camera.
Alright, thank you very much. I don't even want to let it time go. Thank you very much. He is Benjamin George and aka DC League, and thanks for being part of the program for today. Well, this is how we bring the curtain down for today's edition of Good Morning Sierra Leone. What a way, a good way to end the week. You know, today is Friday, and I know with this you're not going to the weekend with a very happy soul because this link don't bless you. I don't know for you now also, but for me sitting close to him this morning, I think I don't get a lot of feel. In fact, the people who say missing this meeting. So we say thanks to the rest of the production team at Broadcasting House, especially our producer Daphne Zainab Kamara for putting this program together, and to all our guests. My name is Francis Nana. Do have a lovely and wonderful weekend.
And before we go, let's take the quote again. It's from American critic Roger Ebert, and it says, "Your intellect may be confused, but your emotions will never lie to you." I have been Emmanuel Samuel. Stay glued to their service. Goodbye. Good Morning Sierra returns next week, same time.
As a mother of the house, whenever I want to prepare palm soup, there's no need pounding palm fruit. All I need is Nkulenu's Ghana's original palm soup base. My soup is done, and its preparation, it is not difficult at all.